The academy was quiet, hidden deep inside the alien city. Its tall towers glowed with silver light, and strange symbols floated across the walls like living fire inside one of those towers. A tiny alien girl sat at her desk. Her name was Lyra. And unlike the other students, she was not studying war, machines, or politics. She was studying something her people thought was useless: humans. Her small hands flipped through glowing pages. Her wide eyes followed every word. The book described humans not as warriors, but as strange beings who built families, kissed, held hands, and gave each other promises. To Lyra, this was more confusing than any battle strategy. Why would a warrior stop fighting just to hold someone close? Why would they risk everything for something called love? Lyra had been laughed at for her choice. Other alien students called her foolish. They said humans were dangerous, chaotic, and unpredictable. They said studying their mating rituals was like studying the wind; it would never give answers. But Lyra could not stop. Something deep inside her whispered that this subject was important. More important than anything else. One evening, as twin moons shone through the high window, Lyra leaned closer to her book. Showed to humans standing side by side, smiling. Their hands touched, and a note explained. This is how humans show trust, comfort, and love. Lyra tilted her head to her species. Touching hands meant nothing. It was just flesh against flesh. So why did humans treat it like it was sacred? She closed the book and whispered to herself, I need to see it for real. Her chance came sooner than she expected, beyond the walls of the academy. Human soldiers had been stationed after the long war. They guarded trade routes and watched. Over peace treaties, most aliens ignored them. Some even hated them, but Lyra watched them carefully. Day after day, she sat near the training grounds, her small figure hidden behind stone pillars. The humans laughed together, argued, shared food, and even sang songs in their strange language. Lyra filled her notebook with every detail. She wrote, humans eat together. They smile when speaking. They hold each other when one is hurt. But no matter how many notes she made, something was missing. The books gave knowledge. Her eyes gave proof, but her heart told her she still didn't understand. Humans were not just performing rituals. They were feeling something she couldn't name. One night, she saw something that left her frozen. A human soldier was sitting by the fire. His hand gently brushed against another soldier's. They didn't speak. They didn't laugh, yet their eyes met and stayed locked. Lyra's heart beat fast. She didn't know why, but she felt as if she had seen a secret door open. The next day, she could no longer keep her curiosity hidden. She walked into the human camp. Her small frame made the soldiers glance in surprise. But she ignored their stares. She went straight to one man, the same soldier she had seen by the fire. He was taller than her by several heads. His uniform was torn from training. His hands were scarred from battles, yet his eyes were calm, like rivers after a storm. Lyra stood before him, clutching her notebook tight. I have studied, she said in her soft alien voice. But the books do not answer. The eyes, the touch, the closeness. I do not understand it. The human frowned, confused. Understand what? He asked. Lyra looked up at him, her words trembling but firm. Human mating rituals, she said. I want you to demonstrate, so I can learn. The camp grew silent. Every soldier nearby froze. Some chuckled in disbelief. Some turned away with shock, but the human she had spoken to did not laugh. He stared at her, his jaw tight, his heart raced at her bold request. For a long moment, no one moved. The alien girl's eyes stayed locked on his. Her innocence made the words heavier. She was not mocking him, not teasing. She was searching for truth. The human finally spoke, his voice low. Do you know what you are asking? I know, Lyra whispered, clutching her notebook. But I must see, I must feel. or I will never understand. He looked around. He knew the other soldiers were watching. He knew the alien council would punish him if they found out. Yet, there was something in her eyes I need deeper than curiosity. It was as if her entire soul depended on this answer. For the first time in years, the human felt uncertain. He was trained for war, for survival, but not for this. How could he explain to a young alien girl that love was more than action, that it was fire in the heart, warmth in the soul, pain and joy woven together? The silence stretched. The soldiers whispered. The alien girl waited, her small hands trembling, her eyes shining like twin moons. At last, the human leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. If I show you, nothing will ever be the sin. Same Lyra's heart jumped. Her research had finally led her to the edge of something forbidden, something dangerous. Yet she did not step back. She nodded, her voice soft but certain. Then let nothing be the same. The moment hung heavy. In the air, the future of both human and alien balanced on a single decision, and though the night was quiet, the universe itself seemed to hold its breath. The soldier's name was Aaron, and from the moment the alien girl spoke her request, his heart had not stopped pounding. He had faced monsters on battlefields. He had stood against enemy fleets. But never had he felt this kind of fear. Not the fear of death, but the fear of stepping into something unknown. He returned to his quarters that night, restless. The alien girl's words echoed in his mind. I want you to demonstrate, so I can learn. He sat on the edge of his bunk, staring at his hands. They were scarred, hardened by years of war. These were not the hands of a man meant for tenderness, and yet, she wanted to understand something tender through him. Aaron told himself it was impossible. He should ignore her. He should report her to her people, or at least keep his distance. But every time he closed his eyes, he saw her gaze so innocent, so determined, not mocking, not playful. She had truly wanted to understand. The next day, when he walked outside, the whispers had already spread. Humans chuckled and shook their heads. Aliens gave him wary stares. Everyone seemed to know that a tiny alien girl had asked a human soldier to demonstrate love. He felt the weight of 1,000 unseen eyes. When Aaron went to the training field, he saw her again. Lyra stood there, notebook in her hands, waiting. Her presence was calm, but her eyes were burning with curiosity. He sighed, running a hand over his face. You shouldn't be here, he told her firmly. I must be, she replied, her voice quiet but steady. If I stop, then all my work is useless. I need you, human. No one else will tell me the truth. Aaron looked around, lowering his voice. Do you realize what you're asking me? If your council finds out, they'll punish you. If my commanders find out, I'll be court-martialed. This isn't just dangerous, it's suicide. But Lyra shook her head. Knowledge without risk is worthless, she said softly. If I do not see, if I do not feel, then my people will never understand humans, and I will never understand you. Her last words struck him harder than any blade. You, she had said, not humans, but you. Aaron turned away, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He had sworn to protect peace between their species, not destroy it, but the thought of refusing her felt wrong. She wasn't playing a game. She wasn't seeking pleasure. She was reaching for something deeper. That night, Aaron avoided the campfire and wandered into the dark edges of the base. The wind was cold, carrying the scent of alien flowers. He found himself thinking about Earth, about his childhood, about the girl he once loved before the war took her away. For years, he had buried those memories, locked them behind walls of discipline. Now a young alien student had pulled those walls apart with just one request. The following morning, Lyra appeared again, this time outside the supply tent. Her notebook was clutched to her chest, her eyes bright. Why do you keep following me? Aaron asked, his voice harsher than he intended. "Because you haven't said no," she replied simply. He froze, realizing she was right. He had every chance to refuse her, to push her away, but he hadn't, deep inside. He knew why her request had awakened something inside him he thought was dead. "Listen, Lyra," he said slowly. "Love isn't just touching hands or kissing or anything you've read. It's more complicated. It hurts, it heals, it changes people. It's not something I can demonstrate like a weapon or a drill." Lyra tilted her head, her voice soft. "Then show me the part that cannot be written." Aaron's chest tightened. He knew she would not give up. He also knew that by agreeing, he would step into forbidden territory. Still, the fire in her eyes reminded him of something humans once said. The most dangerous questions are the ones worth answering. That night, he finally broke. He met her at the edge of the academy gardens, where glowing plants swayed in the breeze. The moons cast pale light over them, and the air was heavy with silence. Lyra looked up at him, her notebook still in her hands. But this time, she did not open it. She said, "No notes tonight. Only learning." Aaron swallowed hard. His hands shook as he reached out. He hesitated, then gently touched her small hand with his. To his people, it was a simple gesture. But to her, it was a revelation. Lyra gasped, her eyes wide, warm. She whispered, "Alive?" Aaron nodded, his voice low. "That's the point. It's not just skin. It's the promise that you're not alone." She stared at their hands, then looked back into his eyes. For the first time, she didn't seem like a researcher or a student. She seemed like someone standing at the edge of a world she had never known. The silence stretched between them, but it was not empty. It was filled with something unspoken, something fragile. Aaron pulled back, taking a deep breath. "That's enough," he said firmly. "If we go further, we'll both lose everything." But Lyra shook her head, her voice trembling. "No, Aaron, we've only just begun." And with those words, Aaron realized his life had just changed forever. He had stepped into the very heart of her dangerous curiosity, and there was no turning back. A dangerous secret. The next morning, Aaron tried to act normal. He trained with his squad. He ate at the mess tent. He even forced himself to laugh at a few jokes. But deep inside, he was burning every time his hands clenched around his weapon. He remembered the soft warmth of Lyra's hand in his. It should have been simple. Just a touch. Nothing more, but for some reason, it felt like he had crossed a line. He had shown her something forbidden. Not by law alone, but by the invisible wall between their two species. Lyra, meanwhile, could not stop writing. Her notebook was filled with hurried words, small drawings, and strange symbols. She wrote, "The human touch carries meaning. It is not flesh, it is trust. When they look into each other's eyes, they speak without words." But as she wrote, her hands trembled. She knew this was more than research now. This was a secret, a dangerous one if her teachers or the Alien Council discovered her work. They would not only take her research away, they would cast her out of the academy, maybe even exile her. She told herself she was ready for the risk, yet her heart beat faster each time she saw Aaron. That night, she returned to the gardens, hoping to see him again. And there he was, standing by the glowing plants, his face half in shadow. "You shouldn't come here," Karen said, his voice low but sharp. "They're already watching us. I've seen the stares, the whispers. If we keep meeting like this, they'll know." Lyra lifted her chin. "Then let them whisper," she said. "Knowledge is worth the danger." Aaron groaned, running a hand through his hair. "You don't understand, Lyra. Humans and your people, we signed peace treaties, yes, but trust is still thin. If they think I've crossed a line with you, it won't just be me they punish. They'll make it a political firestorm. They'll say humans can't be trusted." Lyra stepped closer, her small frame glowing in the moonlight. "Then let it be a firestorm," she whispered, "because I don't want to stop. Not yet," for a long moment. Aaron just looked at her. His training told him to push her away. His honor told him to walk back into the camp. But his heart betrayed him. He could not lie to himself anymore. The tiny alien girl had already stepped inside it. Suddenly, a rustle came from the shadows. Aaron spun, hand on his blade, but saw nothing. Only the sound of leaves swaying, yet both of them knew someone had been there. Someone was watching. Lyra's hand shook. "Do you think they heard us?" she asked. "Doesn't matter," Aaron muttered, his jaw tight. "If they suspect, they'll come looking. We need to be careful from that night on." Their meetings changed. They no longer sat openly in the gardens. Instead, they spoke in hushed voices in quiet corridors or exchanged glances across crowded halls. Every stolen moment carried more weight, more danger. Lyra began to notice shadows moving where they shouldn't. Sometimes she caught a fellow student staring too long at her notebook. Sometimes she thought she saw soldiers exchanging whispers after Aaron passed. One evening, when Aaron slipped into the old library where she waited, he spoke with urgency. "Lyra, someone's following us. Last night, I found footprints near my quarters. Alien prints, not human." Her throat went dry. "Do you think?" "The council knows." "Not yet," Aaron said. "But if we're not careful, they will." Lyra hugged her notebook close, trembling. "I can't stop, Aaron. This is bigger than both of us. I need to know if what I felt was real." Aaron swallowed. "It was real," he admitted, his voice raw. "But that's the problem, Lyra. Real things break worlds apart." Her eyes shone with stubborn light. "Or they build new ones," she whispered. The words struck him like a blade. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that a human soldier and a tiny alien scholar could change centuries of hatred. But deep inside, he feared the truth her people would never allow it. His people might not either. Still, they met again and again. Their conversations moved from research to stories. Lyra asked him about Earth, about forests and oceans, about why humans wrote songs about love and loss. Aaron asked her about her home, about why her people feared emotions, why they thought closeness was weakness. Each answer drew them closer. Each secret made their bond tighter. Then one night, as they whispered in the dark, Lyra's hand brushed against his again. This time she didn't gasp. She didn't write notes. She simply held it, silent and steady. Aaron looked down at her, his chest aching. He wanted to pull away, but he couldn't. Something had already changed. Neither of them noticed the faint light in the distance. A watcher stood hidden among the shadows, recording their every move. Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine, as if the universe itself was warning her. But she didn't let go. She only whispered, "Promise me you won't stop." Aaron hesitated, then squeezed her hand back. "I promise," he said. Neither of them knew how much that promise would cost. First lessons, the days grew heavier with secrets. Aaron trained with his fellow soldiers as if nothing had changed. But his thoughts kept slipping back to the small alien girl who waited for him in hidden corners. He tried to bury the memory of her words, her touch, her stubborn gaze, but every night it returned, stronger than before. Lyra, meanwhile, had stopped writing in her notebook. At first, she had filled page after page with details, diagrams, and cold descriptions. But now, when she looked at the paper, her hand refused to move. She realized that what she wanted to learn could not be captured in words. It had to be lived. When she next met Aaron, it was not in the gardens or the library, but in an abandoned classroom. The walls were cracked, dust filled the air, and faint moonlight slipped through broken windows. She stood in the shadows, her small hands folded nervously. "No more notes," she said quietly when he entered. Aaron raised an eyebrow. "So what do you want, Lyra?" Her voice trembled but held steady. "I want lessons, not from books, not from whispers, from you, directly." Aaron stiffened. "Lessons. You don't understand what you're asking." But Lyra stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly in the silver light. "Then teach me the beginning. Start small. Show me what humans do when they care." He exhaled slowly, dragging a hand across. His face, part of him wanted to turn and walk out. But another part deep, buried, aching wanted to give her what she asked for. To prove that humans were more than warriors, more than contracts and treaties. Finally, he nodded. "Fine. But only simple things. Nothing more." Lyra's eyes lit up with a mix of relief and excitement. "Then show me," she whispered. Aaron hesitated, then slowly extended his hand. She looked at it with wide eyes, then reached forward and placed her smaller hand in his. "First lesson," Aaron said quietly. "This is holding hands. Humans do it when they want to say, 'I'm here, I won't leave.'" Lyra's chest rose and fell quickly. "It feels steady, like the world is less heavy." Aaron gave a faint smile. "Exactly. It's a promise without words." They stood like that for a while. The silence around them, thick, but strangely comforting. For Aaron, it was a reminder of something he had forgotten. For Lyra, it was a door opening into a world her people had never entered. After a long pause, she asked, "What else?" Aaron drew back, unsure. His instincts screamed at him to stop, but her voice pulled him forward. He sat down on the broken bench and motioned for her to sit beside him. When she did, their shoulders touched lightly. "Second lesson," he said. "Humans sit close when they trust each other, when they want to feel less alone." Lyra leaned slightly against him, testing the feeling. Her eyes softened. "It's warm, not like the books, not like the diagrams. This is alive." Aaron's throat tightened. He was supposed to be the teacher. Yet somehow he felt like the student, rediscovering things he thought he had lost. The lessons continued over the next nights, always small, always careful, a hand resting on hers. A smile shared in silence. Words whispered not for knowledge, but for comfort. But every step they took deeper into this fragile bond also pulled them closer to danger. Aaron knew it. He saw the suspicious looks from fellow soldiers. He noticed the alien guards lingering near the academy's walls, one night as they met. In the shadows again, Aaron took her hand and whispered, "Lyra, if they find us, they won't just stop you, they'll destroy me. You don't understand how dangerous this is." But Lyra shook her head, her eyes blazing. "Then let them try. Because for the first time, I feel like I am alive. This is worth every risk." Aaron stared at her, stunned. She was so small, so fragile compared to the towering elders of her species, yet she spoke with the fire of someone who could shake empires. That night, their lesson was longer. Lyra asked him about laughter, about why humans smiled when they were happy or when they were sad. Aaron tried to explain, fumbling with words. But when he smiled at her, truly smiled, she gasped. There she whispered, "That's it. Your face changes. Your eyes shine. It's beautiful." Aaron looked away quickly, his chest tight. He hadn't been called beautiful in years, not since Earth, not since before the war. And hearing it from her, a tiny alien girl risking everything just to learn, made the word hit harder than any praise he'd known, but outside their fragile world of secret lessons. Danger crept closer, rumors spread faster. Soldiers whispered louder, and one of Lyra's own classmates had already begun reporting strange activities to the council. Still, Lyra and Aaron met again, defying fear. She wanted more lessons, and he gave them because, though his mind warned him, his heart refused to let her down. At the end of one meeting, as they stood in the moonlight, Lyra whispered, "Is this what your people call love?" Aaron froze, the word hitting him like a thunderclap. His mouth opened, but no answer came. He didn't know if it was love or danger or both. All he knew was that whatever it was changing him, and for the first time in his life, Aaron. The hardened soldier felt truly afraid not of war, not of death, but of what would happen next if he didn't stop. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. Because the lessons had only just begun, the discovery whispers had become louder. The academy was no longer safe with shadows alone. Rumors ran through the halls like fire. The tiny alien girl meets the human soldier at night. She asks strange questions. She is learning things she should not know. Lyra felt it each time she walked down the corridors. Her classmates stared longer, their voices hushed when she passed. The teachers gave her cold looks as if they already suspected, but she refused to stop. Every night she still went to meet Aaron, and every night he still waited. But danger was drawing near. One evening, as the twin moons hung low in the sky, Aaron met her by the edge of the old gardens. His face was grim. "We can't keep this up much longer," he muttered. "They're closing in. I've heard my own squad whispering about me and your people. I don't think they'll stay silent much longer." Lyra clutched her hands tight. "Then let them speak," she whispered. "Because if they silence us, the truth will die. And I will not let the truth die." Aaron shook his head. He admired her courage, but he also feared it. She didn't know how cruel her counsel could be. That night, as they sat together, Lyra asked for another lesson. Aaron hesitated, then leaned closer, showing her how humans comforted each other, not with words, but with silence, with presence, with the simple act of staying close when everything else tried to pull them apart. Her heart thudded fast. Her hand rested in his. She thought the moment was safe, private, untouched, but she was wrong, because the next morning, the council summoned her. The chamber was vast, filled with tall figures whose eyes burned with cold fire. The oldest elder's voice echoed through the air. "Lyra, daughter of the academy, you are accused of forbidden contact with a human soldier. Explain yourself." Gasps spread across the hall. Lyra's notebook was thrown onto the floor before her. Pages scattered, her secrets, her research, her drawings all exposed. Someone had been watching. Someone had betrayed her. Lyra's throat went dry, her hands trembled. But she forced herself to stand tall. "It is true," she said softly, her voice carrying further than she expected. "I sought the human. I asked him to teach me. Because your books, your lessons, your endless fear, they do not explain what humans truly are." The council hissed in anger. "Humans are dangerous. They are chaos given form. We made peace only to keep them from spreading further, and you risk that peace with your foolishness." But Lyra's eyes burned. "No," she said, her voice rising. "You fear what you don't understand. You call them dangerous because you see only their weapons. But I have seen their hearts. I have felt their truth. They are more than war, more than chaos." The chamber shook with voices, some in outrage, some in shock. Her words cut through the silence like a blade. At that moment, the doors opened, and Aaron stepped inside. Two alien guards tried to stop him, but he pushed past them. His boots echoed across the floor. His hand rested on his weapon, but his eyes never left Lyra. Gasps filled the air. A human had never entered the council chamber before. One elder rose, his voice like thunder. "Human soldier, you have no right to stand here." Aaron's voice came steady, though his chest pounded. "Maybe not. But if you're judging her for the truth, then judge me too. She didn't force me. She didn't trick me. Every choice was mine. I chose to answer her questions. I chose to hold her hand. And I choose to stand with her now." The hall fell into stunned silence. His words struck harder than any weapon could. Lyra's eyes widened. Her heart swelled for the first time. She wasn't alone, but the council was furious. The eldest elder slammed his staff against the ground. "This bond is forbidden. It threatens our traditions. It risks everything we have built. The human will be sent away, and the girl she will be stripped of her place in the academy." Lyra's breath caught. Her entire life, her dreams, everything she had fought for it was about to be torn away. She looked at Aaron, her eyes wet but fierce. "No," she whispered, loud enough for all to hear. "I will not end it. I will not step back, because what we share is not corruption. It is knowledge. It is truth. And you can punish me, but you cannot erase what I have seen." The younger members of the council shifted uncomfortably. Their faces showed doubt. Whispers rose among the crowd of students who had gathered at the doors. Aaron's voice rang out again. "You talk about peace, but peace without understanding is only fear in disguise. If humans and your people are to stand together, then someone has to take the first step. Maybe it's us." The words echoed in the chamber. The elders stared, their decision heavy in the air. The silence was thick, suffocating. Finally, the elder spoke. "Enough. You will both stand trial. And the truth of your bond will be judged by the council if you are found guilty. The punishment will be severe." Guards moved forward. Aaron's hand went to his blade, but Lyra caught his wrist, shaking her head. Her eyes whispered what her lips did not. "Trust me." He let go, letting the guards take them as they were dragged. From the chamber, Lyra whispered to Aaron, her voice trembling but unbroken. "We showed them, Aaron. We showed them it's real. Whatever happens now, we are not shadows anymore." Aaron looked at her, his chest heavy. He knew this was only the beginning, and for the first time, he wondered if their bond could survive what was coming. The trial at the council chamber was transformed into a courtroom. Its walls glowed with pale light, and rows of alien students, soldiers, and scholars filled the seats. Whispers drifted through the air like smoke. The human and the tiny alien girl. They dared to cross the line. What will happen to them now? Lyra stood in the center, her wrists bound with silver cords that shimmered faintly. Aaron stood beside her, unbound but watched closely by alien guards with sharp eyes and sharper weapons. The eldest elder rose, his voice heavy as stone. "Lyra, of the Academy, human soldier Aaron, you are accused of breaking sacred law. You stand here to answer for your choices." Aaron clenched his fists. He had faced war councils before. He had been judged for battles gone wrong. But never had he been judged for something as fragile and simple as holding hands. Lyra lifted her chin, her small figure trembling but unbroken. "If seeking truth is a crime, then I am guilty," she said. Her voice echoed across the hall, soft yet firm. "But no, this what I found is not corruption. It is connection, and no punishment can erase it." The council erupted with shouts. Some demanded silence. Others cried out for her removal. Aaron stepped forward, ignoring the guards. "If you condemn her, then condemn me too," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. She asked, and I answered. That was my choice, not hers. I stand here because I wanted her to know what humans are, beyond war and fear. Gasps spread across the chamber. Never before had a human spoken with such defiance in this hall. The eldest elder raised his hand, and the room fell silent. We'll hear arguments, he said coldly. The witnesses may speak. One by one, voices rose against them. A teacher declared that Lyra had always been rebellious, chasing ideas that led nowhere. A soldier accused Aaron of dishonoring his people by indulging the alien girl. Others whispered that if such bonds spread, chaos would follow, alliances broken, families destroyed. The words struck like knives. But Lyra did not bow her head. Instead, she turned toward the crowd, her eyes glowing with stubborn fire. You fear chaos because you have never let yourselves feel, she said. You call humans dangerous. Yet you only see their weapons, not their hearts. I touched one, and I felt something stronger than wore it. Was hope, it was trust, and you cannot take that from me." Her words silenced the hall for a heartbeat. Even some of the younger students leaned forward, their eyes wide with curiosity. Aaron's turn came. He spoke of Earth, not of weapons or battles, but of forests, oceans, and laughter. He told them how humans wrote poems for love, how they risked everything for family, how they built homes not just with stone, but with promises. "We are not perfect," he said, his voice low but steady. "We make mistakes, we fight, we fail, but when we choose to care, we fight harder for the people we love than for any war." That is what Lyra wanted to see. That is what I showed her, and if that is a crime, then I accept it. The crowd murmured. Some looked shaken, others furious. The eldest elder slammed his staff. "Enough," he growled. "The council will decide." The chamber went quiet as the elders gathered in a circle, their voices low, their faces unreadable. The tension in the air grew so heavy it felt like stone pressing against the chest. Lyra turned her head toward Aaron, whispering, "Do you regret it?" Aaron shook his head, his eyes steady. "Never," he whispered back. Minutes stretched into hours. Finally, the elders turned. The eldest elder spoke again, his voice like thunder. "The bond between you is unnatural. It breaks tradition and threatens our people. For this, you must be punished." A sharp gasp ran through the hall. Lyra's heart sank. She knew exile was coming, maybe even worse. But then the elder continued, "And yet, the truth cannot be denied. Your defiance has stirred questions in the young. Your words cannot be unheard. To silence, you would only feed the fire. Therefore, the human will not be executed and the girl will not be exiled." Shock rippled through the crowd. No one had expected mercy. The elder's eyes narrowed. "Instead, you will be watched, studied as closely as any experiment. If you claim your bond as truth, then prove it under our gaze. But know this: if it falters, if it breaks, your punishment will be swift and final." Lyra's breath caught. Her heart pounded. This was not freedom. But it was not destruction either. It was a narrow path between life and ruin. Aaron exhaled slowly, relief and dread mixing in his chest. He looked at her, and for a moment it was only the two of them. Standing in the center of a storm, the council dismissed them. Guards led them out of the chamber. The whispers followed like shadows. Why did the elders spare them? What if their bond is real? What if everything we believe must change? When they were finally alone, Lyra turned to Aaron, her voice trembling. "They spared us, but we are trapped now. Every step, every word, every touch, they will watch us." Aaron placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Then let them watch," he said, "because if this bond is worth anything, it will survive their eyes. It has to." Lyra stared at him, her chest tight. In that moment, she realized something. This was no longer research, no longer curiosity. It was something greater, something alive. And though the council called it forbidden, she whispered the word humans had taught her, the word that burned brighter than fear. "Love," she said softly. Aaron closed his eyes, his hand tightening on hers. He didn't say it back, not yet. But the fire in his chest told him he didn't need to. The truth was already there. A new understanding. The days after the trial felt strange. The entire academy seemed to breathe differently. Some students stared at Lyra with disgust, whispering that she had shamed her people. Others looked at her with quiet curiosity, wondering if she had truly discovered something worth risking everything for. Aaron felt the change too. Wherever he walked, eyes followed. Human soldiers gave him questioning looks. Alien guards never let him out of sight. It was like living inside a cage with invisible bars. But even under the constant watch, he refused to step away from Lyra. They still met, though not in secret now. Their lessons no longer belonged to the shadows. They walked side by side in the gardens under the moons. They sat together in the library. They spoke softly in corridors, knowing every word might be recorded. Every touch judged. At first, it was suffocating. But slowly, something else began to happen. The Watchers started to learn too. One evening, as Lyra and Aaron sat in the academy courtyard, a group of younger students lingered nearby. Pretending to study, but clearly listening, Lyra noticed her cheeks flushed. But she didn't stop. Aaron leaned close, showing her how humans shared stories when they cared for someone. He told her about Earth's oceans vast and endless sand. How lovers would walk along the shore, leaving footprints side by side in the sand. Lyra's eyes widened to leave a mark together. "That is beautiful," she whispered. The students behind them whispered too. But not with mockery this time. Their eyes shone with curiosity. Word spread. Not all of the academy mocked anymore. Some began to wonder if maybe the girl and the human were not dangerous, but brave, but danger still lingered. The elders had not accepted their bond, they had only delayed judgment. Every step Lyra and Aaron took together was a test. One night, as they sat beneath the silver trees, Aaron spoke quietly. "Lyra, this can't last forever. One day, they'll demand more. They'll force us to prove ourselves in ways we can't control." Lyra turned to him, her voice steady. "Then we'll face it together." Aaron studied her. She was so small compared to him, fragile in body but fierce in spirit. For the first time, he realized she was no longer just the curious student who had asked him about mating rituals. She was his partner, standing against the storm beside him. Their bond was tested sooner than they thought. The council called them again, not to condemn this time, but to observe. The chamber filled with elders, students, guards, and soldiers. 1,000 eyes watched as Lyra and Aaron were ordered to show what they had claimed. "Prove to us," the eldest elder said coldly. "That what you share is not corruption, but truth." The room went silent. Lyra's hands shook. Aaron's chest tightened. How could they prove something as invisible as trust? Aaron reached down, taking Lyra's trembling hand in his. The hall gasped, but he didn't let go. His voice was steady. "This is proof enough. We face you, not as enemies, not as master and subject, but as equals. She trusts me, and I trust her. That is all we have. That is all we need." Lyra lifted her chin, her eyes shining. "And if you cannot see the truth in this, then perhaps it is not us who are blind, but you." The hall erupted with whispers. Students gasped, some elders scowled in rage, but others hesitated, their faces softened, their eyes thoughtful. The youngest elder stepped forward, his voice quieter, but stronger than thunder. "Perhaps they are right. Perhaps what we call forbidden is only fear. Perhaps it is time we stop fearing and start understanding." The words sent a shock through the chamber. For the first time, one of their leaders stood not against Lyra and Aaron, but with them. The eldest elder slammed his staff. Furious, "This is dangerous," but his voice was drowned out by the sound of dozens of students standing. Their voices rose. "Let them be. Let them prove it. We want to understand too." The chamber was no longer silent. It was alive with something new: doubt, hope, rebellion. Aaron's hand tightened around Lyra's. He looked at her, his lips curving into the faintest smile. "Looks like your research just changed a world," he whispered. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "Not research," she said softly. "Love." The word spread like fire through the chamber. Some spat it out in anger. Others repeated it with awe, but no one could erase it. The word had been spoken, and the truth could not be unspoken. That night, for the first time, the council did not punish. They ended the session in silence. Knowing they had lost something control, Aaron and Lyra walked out together, not in chains, not in shadows, but hand in hand under the twin moons. Their steps were heavy with risk, but also with something stronger. A new understanding had begun, and though the path ahead was filled with danger, both human and alien knew one thing for certain: nothing would ever be the same again.